השלום, מלאכי השלום.
As we greet and then say farewell to the Shabbat angels, we get ready for a divine revelation and ask for a shelter of peace in the middle of page 8.
Gale, gale, gale.
Sing, start all over again. Sing every atom. Sing, bless the word and the thing itself. Each moment has its story of grace. Page 12, Shiru Ladonai.
שירו לאדוני שיהיה חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, מסרו מיום ליום ישועתו, ספרו בגויים גבורתו, בכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים, ככל אלוהי ימים אלילים, דבר אדוני שמיים עשה, עוד והדר לפניו ועוז תפארת במקדשו, אבו לאדוני משפחות עמים, אבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז, אבו לאדוני כבוד שמו, ציור מחיילי ובואו לחצרותיו, השתחוו לאדוני ביד הקודש, נו מפניו כל הארץ, אמרו בגויים גבורתו, כל תלמוד ידין עמים במישרים, ישמחו השמיים ותגיל לארץ, ירם הים ומלואו, יעלו שדי וכל אשר בו, אז ירננו כל עצי יער לפני אדוני, כי יבא לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק וימים באמונתו, יאללה 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 יאללה
Page 20, Mizmor David, please rise as you are able.
מזמור לדוד, עבור אדוני בני, עבור לאדוני כבוד ועוז, הלילה מול אדוני כבוד שמו, השתחוו לאדוני בהדרת קודש, כל אדוני על המים אל הכבוד ירים, אדוני על מים רבים אלי, כל אדוני בכוח הלילה, כל אדוני בהדר, כל אדוני שובר ארצים, וישבר אדוני את ארצי הלבנון, וירקידם כמו עגל לבנון וסיריון, כמו בן רבים, כל אדוני חוצה לעבוד אש, הלילה כל אדוני יחיל מדבר, יחיל אדוני מדבר קודש, כל אדוני יחולל איילות, ויחשוף יערות ובחלוף, ישב, וישב אדוני מלך לעולם. אדוני יעוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום.
You may be seated as you are able. And this is the time to settle into Shabbat. We're going to do a little meditation visualization in a moment. So historically, traditionally, it is customary to go to the mikvah, to go to the ritual bath before Shabbat. And in the past, this was mostly for men, but now anyone who wants to go and be refreshed and renewed and resouled, so to speak, by Nafash, can do so before Shabbat. So mostly any natural body of water, it can be considered a mikvah. A mikvah is also a pool of water in a building that you can go to that also has natural water in it. So I just wanted you to have that to prepare for this meditation. So the first mikvah that we will enter is a cool pond on this hot evening. And as we enter, we start shedding all of our worries. You can think of them now. Worries about work, worries about your family, worries about your home, worries about your health. One by one, let them slide off your mind and your body into the cool water. And as you emerge from this beautiful pond, in the midst of a forest, you feel lighter, calmer, ready to connect to the world unburdened. The next mikvah is a huge lake, maybe something like Lake George or even Lake Michigan. And you enter that cold, cold water. And you feel your grief rising up. And sliding off your body, dissolving into the water. So much grief, a lifetime's worth of grief, just dissolving. Grief, regret for what could have been, for someone maybe you've lost, for what the world has become. The grief just for now, just for Shabbat, slides off your body and becomes one with the water. And as you emerge from the water, you are greeted by wings of hope. The next mikvah is the ocean. It's a raging, angry ocean. And as you enter it, you feel your own anger welling up inside you, rising up and coming out in a big roar. angry at people who maybe mistreated you, angry at the world the way it is and politics the way they are. Maybe old angers, maybe the way your family has raised you and brought you up. Or maybe present angers, like angry at your boss or your coworker or your beloved. So much anger raging, taken by the raging ocean. And as you leave the ocean, you feel purified and ready for love, ready for so much endless love, and ready to greet Shabbat. Now a poem by Rich Orloff.
The Big Ask.
Or the Orphan's Kaddish.
To God.
To my ancestors.
To anyone who will listen.
I ask and pray for this.
Bless me with a peace
that's deeper than.
Oh.
Got it.
Bless me with a peace that's deeper than happiness, that makes room for profound sorrow, that accepts pain and loss, that's not dependent on good news.
Bless me with a peace that comforts me when I feel anguish, that steadies me when I feel uncertain, that expands me when I think small, that finds a way through my fiercest resistance.
Bless me with a peace that stretches beyond my horizons, that heals even if I can't explain why, that offers delight as an everyday gift, that allows me to see blessings.
Bless me with a peace that is a refuge from torment, that is an oasis from yearning, that is a sanctuary from trauma, that transcends all else, but never denies all else.
Bless me with a peace
that renews my gratitude for life,
and that I can access
every time I let you in. Lecha Dodi, pages 23 and 24.
Lecha Dodi, Likat Kala, B'nei Shabbat Lekavera, Ishamor Zachor V'tivu Echad Yishmianu Elam Yochad Adonai Echad U'Shmo Echad L'Shem U'Tiferet עלייך נגלה לבדו. ולא תקלמי מוות תשתוכחי ומתמי בוואו רק יחזו אני ימי ונבטה הנטילה אלך דודי לקראת קלה ובני שבת נקבלה היו לתשיסה שעושייך ורחקו כל מבלייך יסיס עלייך אלוהייך ימסוס חתן על כלה אלך דודיו לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה אוי לך דודי אוי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה ימין ושמאל תפרוצי מיד אדוני תריצי על ידי ונפלתי ונשמחה ונרגילו אליך אדוני לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה. אוי בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמונך המסגולה בואי כלה שבת המלכה אלך אדוני עולי לקראת כלה
You take your seats. This is the moment on Shabbat that we greet mourners. And this week, 2 Romemu congregants, actually 3, Iva Kaufman, oh wait, just 1 second. Iva Kaufman lost her beloved mother. Howard Weiner lost his beloved mother-in-law. I don't know if they are with us, but we are thinking of them. And Natalie Fabe Ubias lost her beloved mother. So we wish them all comfort in loving memories, and anyone else who is a new mourner amongst us. And feel free to put your name in the chat if you'd like to say anything regarding this moment. And we will be singing Healer of the Brokenhearted on page 113 on the bottom.
Healer of the brokenhearted, binder of our wounds, counter of uncountable stars, you know who we are. Healer of the brokenhearted, binder of our wounds, counter of the uncountable stars, we know who you are.
So now it's time to welcome you and find out who's new to Romemu, either in the room or on Zoom. Yeah. Oh, do we have a handheld mic that we can?
Now,
Okay, but you can't run around.
I can't run around with it.
Okay.
Okay, hi, I'm Beatrice and I'm from New York. Hi, Marushi, I'm from India. No, I go to school here.
I'm Anna, also from New York.
Nice, welcome. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Janice from Nyack. Very happy to be here. Heard a lot about this.
Welcome to Janice from Nyack.
Hello, I'm Panina, I'm from Australia.
Welcome to Panina from Australia. Anyone else?
Should I stand up? Hi, I'm Jocelyn. I'm from New York.
I'm Caroline. I'm also from New York.
A lot of New Yorkers here tonight. Anyone from Brooklyn? I grew up in Brooklyn. Hands almost raised. A new person?
I'm JJ and I am from Brooklyn.
It's been a while because before the pandemic, everyone used to say, Brooklyn, remember that? Okay, anyone else who's new or hasn't been here in a while?
I'm Alexa, and I live in Brooklyn. So Brooklyn!
Okay, anyone on Zoom in the chat? Can I see the chat so I can say hello? Hello, hello, Abby Rosen. Okay, David Willinger says hello. Hello, David Willinger, in your beautiful place, wherever that is. Oh, no? No one who's new, okay. John Corsi seems to be new. Welcome, John. And I think that is it for now. Okay, some announcements. Okay, absolutely. This is a rowdy bunch. You're dancing, you're singing, you're talking in the back. Okay. This is new and exciting. Everyone is invited to stay after services for a light kiddish, really light, a little challah, a little hummus, a little grape juice, maybe wine, I'm not sure. Downstairs in the conference room, so join us. And online in the Zoom room if you want to stay on Zoom, sort of chatting, but we can't give you food through the screen, unfortunately. Tomorrow morning, 8:45, we have a Parsha study class, and I will be teaching it. You're welcome to join either here or on Zoom. And tomorrow night is Tisha B'Av, and it starts at 9 p.m. and it'll be right here in the gym. And Rabbi Ingber will be back tomorrow night, and he'll actually be back tomorrow morning as well for services, which are at 10 o'clock. Virtual tours of prisons in Colorado and Florida, part of the Romemu Social Action Summer of Learning and Action. We need at least 10 people interested to secure a date, and I think they're August 10th at 6 p.m. Is that right? You don't know, okay.
It's on the handout.
Okay, it's on the handout. Community Kitchen next week on August 14th, which I think is also on your handout. And I think that is it. So now get ready for the call to community, and please rise as you are able. We are on page 31.
Baruch Adonai, Hamevorach le'olam va'ed. Ele, ele, ya la la, oh,
You may be seated. We're on page 34.
אל חיה וקיימת, תמיד תמלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוכה את שכינה, המעריב הערבי, אלי, איי, 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 אוי, אוי, איי, 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 איי,
Ahavat Olam on page 36. We are loved with an eternal love.
ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמי. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Love and listening takes us to the oneness, to the unity behind all difference, distinction, and division. We gather up our fringes as a symbol of this unity, and we cover our eyes. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Now, if you will listen to my askings, I ask you this day. Page 42, 43. Well of life, and serve it with all your heart and soul. Pour rain upon the land in its season, autumn rain, spring rain. Tati mitar techem, tel yorem al kosh, Guard yourselves lest your hearts be seduced and you turn and serve alienated gods and bow down to them. Then the well of life will be wounded and will close up the sky so that there is no rain, and the earth will yield no harvest, and you'll be lost from the good land that the well of life has given you. עשו להם ציצית, לא ציצית, ציצית, סליחה. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Page 48.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה ימלוך לעולם ועד. ליי 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 היי ליי 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 נאמר כי פד אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. ליי 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 ליי
Lay us down in peace, author of the stars. Raise us up to life, ground of our being. Spread over us the sukkah, the shelter of your peace. Page 49.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, עמידנו מלכנו לחיים. Spread the shelter of your wings over us. Guide us with wisdom, compassion and trust. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom. Hamidenu Malkeinu Lechaim Lechaim
Page 52, the Shamru.
V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת ודותם ברית עולם אוי בעיני ובעיני ישראל אותי לעולם גישי שתיאמי עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
Chatzi Kaddish on page 52.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ילמד דברה קראתי וימליך מלכותי בחייכונו יומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה שמי דקודשה ברכו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן ביומה and let us say
The standing prayer begins on page 56 and continues.
On the waters of Babylon, we lay down and wept for thee, Zion. We remember thee, Zion. By the waters of Babylon, we lay down and wept for thee, Zion. We remember thee, Zion. By the waters of Babylon, we lay down and wept for thee, Zion. We remember thee, Zion. We lay down and wept for thee, Zion. On the waters of Babylon, we lay down and wept for thee, Zion.
Yesterday, I was speaking to a Romemu congregant. Her name is Natalie. And she was telling me about how her mother recently died of ALS. I imagine most of you are familiar with this disease. It's a terrible disease where you lose all muscle function, including the ability to move your face and speak. Natalie, who I think might be with us tonight, is pregnant for the first time. And a few weeks ago, not knowing that her mother would take ill or become sicker than she was, flew from her home in New York to LA just to spend time with her mother and visit. During their visit, Natalie bought a book her mother had created when she was pregnant with Natalie. And they were looking through it, and her mother was providing commentary. But because she couldn't speak, she communicated through a special device called a Toby, which enabled her to use her eyes to look at letters on a keyboard on an electronic screen, which then put the words together and said them for her. Really an unbelievable technology. Just 2 days later, Natalie's mother, Helen Starlight, may her memory be for a blessing, was having difficulty breathing. She entered the hospital and died a few days later. It's amazing that Natalie just happened to go visit her mother so soon before she went into respiratory distress and died, while pregnant herself, and learned about her own mother being pregnant with her through some miraculous technology. Despite a horrible disease, Natalie's mother was able to provide commentary on the story of Natalie's beginnings. Listening to the story, tears came to my eyes, and the only thing I managed to say was, wow. Natalie responded by saying, yeah, God was all over that story. It made me wonder, especially at this moment, about faith. What might lead us, like Natalie, to feel that at times there is a higher power at work in our lives, that ultimate meaning is revealing itself? What would allow us to move forward in life with faith that some greater hand is at work, some greater purpose, faith that might help us face this difficult world? Now, I want to do something a little complicated here, maybe a little challenging. I want to posit a faith that doesn't necessarily mean faith in God. I want to explore the notion of a faith that would be available to anybody, whether you believed in God or not, or believed in some idea of God or not. You know, often when I meet people and they find out I'm a rabbi, they say, I don't believe in God. And I want to say to them, well, I don't really care. No. But I don't say that. Instead, I say, the same God you don't believe in, I don't believe in. In other words, there are all kinds of ideas of God out there. And I don't personally believe in God as a noun. For me, God is more of a process and part of the fabric of existence and the forces that sort of make the universe, you know, turn, and part of birth and rebirth and death. Birth, death, and rebirth. I want to end with rebirth. I once had a congregant who said to me, I believe. And I said to her, what do you believe in? And she said, I believe, period. That's the kind of faith I'm interested in. That's, you know, I want to walk around feeling like I have some kind of faith, even if it's not in something specific. So from faith, I want to go to our Parsha, which is all about faithlessness. So this week we start a new book of the Torah. We start the 5th book of the Torah, the book of Deuteronomy, or the book of Dvarim. And in it, Moses talks about the people's faithlessness. He says, despite everything God has done for you, you do not have faith in Adonai your God. So the word in Hebrew for faith, the verb to believe or to have faith is leha'amin, and the noun is emunah, faith. It is no accident that this week's portion speaks of faithlessness and disappointment. The Jewish people are in a period of mourning. We're in the 9 days, and we're coming up to Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, tomorrow night, which is a day of mourning and fasting and sitting on the floor and listening to the book of Lamentations. It's a book, it's a day in which we mourn the destruction of the temples, the 2 temples, and basically every other major calamity in Jewish history except for the Holocaust, which has its own day. The book of Lamentations in Hebrew is called Eicha. What's amazing is that we read this Parsha, Dvarim, the first portion of Deuteronomy, every single year before the 9th of Av. And in this Parsha is the word Eicha. It's very strange. So the book of Eicha starts with the word Eicha, how? How has a city that was once so full of people become lonely? Eicha yashva vadad, ha'ir rabati, am haita ka'amana, rabati bagoyim, sarati b'medinot haita lamas. How like a widow has she become, she who was great among the nations, she who was a princess among the provinces, has become a forced laborer. So the book of Eicha, you could say, is the book of how. How did this happen? How could this have possibly happened to us? How could the city of Jerusalem be so demeaned and diminished? And in our Parsha, Moshe also asks Eicha. He says, Eicha, how can I possibly do this alone? How can I bear this burden, right? And he describes the people as a burden, as a bother, as a bickering mass, right? The 3 B's. How can I do this by myself? So those 2 words, how and alone, how and alone, and it amounts to a long howl, the howl that becomes a howl. I remember walking around New York City in the first days of the pandemic. I don't know how many of you were in New York City at that time during the pandemic, right? In March 2020. And I was walking around the Upper West Side, barely anyone was on the street and all the stores were closed. I went home and I didn't really have that much to do, so I decided to watch The Twilight Zone. And I was like, I know, it's a funny thing to do, right? And it was about a man who woke up in a world where no one was left. I'm like, why am I watching this? I am living in the Twilight Zone, right? So this great, glorious, majestic city brought to its knees helps me understand what people might have felt in the wake of the destruction of the temples. The ancient rabbis tie the word echa to the word how, right? You're hearing the resonance in Devarim, right? In the book of Deuteronomy, in the beginning of it, in the book of Lamentations, and even in the book, in the prophetic reading that we would read tomorrow at Romemu if we read the Torah, which we don't, is also the word echa, right? It's also the word how. But the ancient rabbis tie it to a kind of how, the word ayeka in Breshit, in Genesis, in the story of the Garden of Eden. So what happens is, as you know, Adam and Eve eat the fruit from the forbidden tree, and they suddenly realize, right, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and instead of understanding good and evil, what they understand is that they're naked, and they cover themselves with fig leaves, and they hide from God. And God comes, walking at the breezy time of the day in the garden and says, Ayeka, where are you? Now, the great rabbi, Joseph Soloveitchik, 20th century modern Orthodox rabbi, understood the word Ayeka, God's question. Like, how could God possibly say, where are you? God knows where they are. They're hiding, but it's like a 2-year-old that thinks that their mother doesn't know where they are, right? But God knows where they are. So why is God saying, where are you? And what Rabbi Soloveitchik said is it's a kind of where are you that calls you to account. Where are you? What's your role in the story, right? What did you do here? But I want to suggest a different understanding of Ayeka. The Garden of Eden was a place of great intimacy and great connection and great unity. And suddenly, Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and they understood there was a difference between them and the other, and them and God. And suddenly they're hiding, right? There's a difference, and they feel like they can hide behind some barrier. And my understanding of God asking, where are you, is like, where are you? We were so close. I lost you. Now you're full of duplicity. Now when I ask you, why did you eat from the fruit of that tree that I told you not to? Adam says, oh, it was Eve's fault. And Eve says, oh, it was the snake's fault, right? Duplicity, deflection, blame, right? That natural intimacy that can be between people, and certainly is between like small children and their parents before they reach a certain age, is gone. It's almost like you've discovered that your lover has betrayed you and cheated on you. And it's like, where are you? What happened? So 3 anguished cries, right? Moshe saying in our Parsha, how can I possibly bear this burden? I can't do this by myself. I'm alone. Echa, right? The book of Lamentations that we will read tomorrow night and on Sunday morning, saying, wow, look at how this city sits destroyed and alone. And now God's anguished cry, Echa or Ayeka, where are you? But what does all this despair have to do with faith, right? I started off with Natalie's faith, and now I'm in the thick of despair. But I thought at this moment, right, where we're facing Tisha B'Av, where tomorrow is Hiroshima Day, and a few days after Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, is Nagasaki Day, where we're facing, the threat of planetary destruction and perhaps the destruction of our democracy, that I would start with anguish and despair and then consider faith as an antidote. I'm very interested in language. And what happens often in language is that words originate in a more concrete meaning and then evolve to a more abstraction. So I want to go back to that word emunah, to believe, right? The root is aleph mem nun. So in the Torah, it appears to mean faith or steadfastness, but there are also occurrences which means to parent, to mother, and to suckle, right? Startling. So if we think about faith in that way, perhaps we can start to think about giving over to the forces that care for us, giving over to the God, if you believe in God, or if you have some sense of connection to God, who is an El Hanun V'Rachum, a God of grace and of compassion. And the word Rachum comes from the word Rechem, womb. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think faith is going to solve any of our problems, but I think it could help sustain us and sort of help us maintain a sense of connection to the world and being held, and perhaps connect to the forces of kindness and mother love when we're faced with so much that is difficult. I don't know about you, but I feel all too often, even without, a pandemic and threats to democracy and an environmental collapse, even without all that, sometimes I feel like the world is just against me, right? Like it's just really hard to navigate the world. It's not even sometimes other people, sometimes it's just everything feels so difficult, and I'm striving and I'm straining and I'm efforting and nothing flows. Maybe it's those days that I'm connected to the judgment aspect of Adonai, of God, which is Elohim. And maybe Yud-He Vav-He, the unpronounceable name of God, which is said to be the aspect of compassion, maybe we need some more of that to feel held and connected and to, so to speak, go back to the garden, or go back to the garden before division and duplicity. So I say that these days, despite everything, I believe. I have faith. I don't know what I have faith in. I think I have faith in the nature of life and the great circles of birth and death and rebirth. And, the God who's described as in the Siddur as Mechaye Hametim, as enlivening the dead, whatever that means, right? Everything that happens sort of has some kind of meaning and existence for eternity. So to return to Natalie and her mother, Helen Starlight, and the coming together in Natalie's story of birth and death and womb and care and story and memory and meaning and everlasting love, in the face of their grief and sudden loss, I want to bless Natalie and her entire family with the comfort of knowing that the powerful connections they had with the starlight of Helen will be eternal, with the knowledge that nothing can destroy that connection, and that it will remain a blessing for the next generation, so soon to come, b'sha'a tova, at a propitious moment. A baby will join your world, this world made of much darkness, but which is still graced with hope and so much beauty and endless, yes, endless love. If I can only find the playlist. Here we go. Vahashevota. Oh, yeah. Yes.
So Rabbi Diana asked me to sing the first part of Eicha.
And I
If it was a
forgot to-
normal year, it would be Tisha B'Av tonight, right? Am I correct about
Exactly.
that?
Tonight is actually
tonight is
the 9th of Av.
So we'd be singing, but
Hold on
Shabbat is the
second.
joy of Shabbat trumps Tisha B'Av. So
One second.
the melody for Eicha is actually a very beautiful and haunting,
Yeah, will you start singing
dark
it?
minor
until
melody.
yeah.
And but I'm gonna try to insert a little Shabbat into it, so it's not quite as sad as it would have been. Eicha yashva v'adav העיר הבת ים הייתה כאלמנה, רבתי בגויים, שרתי במדינות, הייתה למה והשב אותה
והשב אותה
אל לבביך,
Page 78.
כי אדוני הוא האלוהים. Try that again. והשב אותה אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Page 116 for Mourner's Kaddish. If you are currently in mourning, you are invited to stand to recite the Kaddish. And if it's your custom to stand with those who are reciting Kaddish, you can stand along with them. And if you'd like to say the name of the person that you're mourning, we open it up in the room and also on Zoom if you'd like to put names in the chat. Harley, you want to start? Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yoma divrach hirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, b'agala u'b'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam le'omer amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dukusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechamata, damiran v'yomar v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'marmav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru Amen. Okay, you can be seated. Lots of thank yous. So first to our remote moderator, Grace Hack. To Rabbi Janice Elster, who is our on-site staff, but also part of the vocals team. To Farnoosh Savafi for her wonderful playing on the drum. To Noah Solomon for his expert leading and musical prowess. And of course, Elliot in the back, who has sort of taken the sound and made it into something beautiful. Am I missing anybody?
Victor and the team.
Oh, and of course, Victor Ramirez and the
Yourself.
facilities team.
And Rabbi Diane.
Thank you. Kiddush is on page 88, I think. Yom HaShishi, vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'kol zman, v'yechalohim bayom hashvi'i melachto asher asa, vayishbot bayom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa. V'yivarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i, v'yikadesh oto, ki vo shavat mikol melachto Asher bara Elohim la'asod. Savri.
L'chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'shara kasho v'yava v'ratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron le'maaseh Bereshit. Ki hu yom techila v'mikra'ei kodesh. Zecher l'tzion Mitzrayim. Ki banu v'acharta v'tanu kiddashta mikol ha'amim v'shavat kodeshecha v'yava u'v'ratzon mitchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Shabbat Shalom.
Kiddush downstairs.
Shabbat Shalom to all our friends on Zoom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Zoomers. How are you?
We can unmute now.